Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 20, continuing on with round 11 of our Classic Championship with Kevin Schwantz, and we're going to be here in Laguna Seca. McWilliams on pole with Kaczynski and Arbe in the front row, McCoy, Schwantz, Lawson on the second, Biaggi, Roberts Jr., Doohan, Rossi, Gardner, Rainey, and finally at the back of the grid, one of our championship protagonists, Alex Crivier. So here we are, waiting for the lights to go out, clutches in, waiting, and patiently here we go! Round 11, Laguna Seca, this MotoGP Classic Championship is underway! It's a great start from McWilliams, he definitely will get the whole shot going into turn 1, he has just bloody blitzed it from the start as we try and go with the inside. Oh, contact made with Arbe, contact made with Kaczynski, contact behind! Kajiva's everywhere, Gary McCoy's down! Someone high-sided off the bike as well, oh my goodness! Absolute mayhem! I think it was Lawson Roberts! Crivier's pushed me off! Crivier just pushed Roberts Jr. into me! Oh my goodness, what a hectic start! What an absolute hectic start, ladies and gentlemen! Things have gone completely, absolutely hectic here. Completely pear-shaped in this Laguna Seca Grand Prix. What a hectic start! We had a brilliant start. We had a little bit of collision with Arbe. I think it was Eddie Lawson who we bumped into, and John Kaczynski. And then absolute chaos ensued as Alex Crivier bumped Kenny Roberts Jr. and Kenny Roberts Jr. slid underneath of us. Unbelievable. We're right behind the one of the championship protagonists. We go well wide. We did the Rossi and the corkscrew as Alex Crivier is there. He's 8/10 ahead of us, so we aren't that far away as sense the championship goes. But my goodness, I was not prepared for this start. My voice is already screaming already as this begin of this Grand Prix. As Kevin Schwantz closes in on Alex Crivier, things can settle down somewhat now, but this track, this field has been well and truly separated here. Well and truly been separated here. There's bunches of people everywhere as Alex Crivier is about to be overtaken. There's more contact there from Kevin Schwantz. I think that was a bit of a vengeance move. I don't think he was impressed with getting pushed off the track by pushing Kenny Roberts Jr. I don't know if you can say that he was at fault there, but certainly something had occurred there as we're on the right on the real tail of Rossi now. Rossi not having the best race. He started decently, but he's being beaten already as we go into turn 4. Kevin Schwantz looking menacing here. He got past Alex Crivier and now Rossi without too much trouble. Breaking into turn 5 a little bit late there. Going to push it out towards turn 6 in a moment's time. Kaczynski and Gardner are jostling for position. They're battling for the podium positions, of course, as Max Biaggi is 2.5 seconds ahead of the American and the championship leader Kevin Schwantz. As we now flick it right for the preparation of the corkscrew. A very difficult corner to get right on these MotoGP machines as we go a little bit wide again and succumb to 0.2 of a second penalty. Now the issue I have in that corner for some strange reason is the same weird thing that's been occurring to me on this series, of this complete series, where in corners where I would downshift to first gear, the bike will just stop working. It will not allow you to accelerate and it just sort of glitches out on you. Really strange why it does it, and I had so much trouble going into the corkscrew in the qualifying session, so I'm a little bit hesitant in the corkscrew. Now if you've seen me on Ride 4, the corkscrew is my bread and butter. I am pretty handy in the corkscrew, but not replicating it here as we move on to MotoGP 20. Now Alex Crivier has just been passed by Gary McCoy, and bearing in mind I think Gary McCoy was the one who just somersaulted and sunset flipped out to this Grand Prix, but he's still somehow very competitive. I'm pretty certain it was him who high-sided into turn 2 for the Andretti hairpin, so I'm not sure. But if that's the case, I mean, Gary McCoy is on a mission. He's just passed Valentino Rossi now as well. And of course, for Gary McCoy, he did win the last time out in Phillip Island in his home track. So great stuff for him. So bearing in mind, Kevin Schwantz is leading this Grand Prix championship by 8 points. And by finishing ahead of Alex Crivier is ultimately what we need for the final showdown in Valencia in just a couple of days' time. So we're going to be breaking into turn 7 now, ready for the corkscrew. Hold it left, flick it right. That was much better. We navigated the corkscrew with ease. Looked a lot better there as Wayne Gardner is ahead. Wayne Gardner had a difficult season. We'd definitely like to see him do better if we return to this series once again in MotoGP 21. I may even pick Wayne Gardner next time as we dive up on the inside. Oh, contact made there. Both men wanted the same piece of tarmac. Kevin Schwantz feeling the pressure. He has been really aggressive in this Grand Prix. From the second this Grand Prix started, he's been pushed and shoved, but also did a bit of shoving himself as we go around the outside of Wayne Gardner now, breaking into turn 2. Biaggi's in 4th place. Biaggi's really come to his own this towards the end of the season. He started off sluggish, but he seems to be a regular feature up there in the top 5. So good stuff for the Yamaha man. As Valentino Rossi now gets ahead of McDowell. Apologies, it was the other way around. Doohan got ahead of the young Valentino, as we'll flick it right in a moment's time for turn 4. Max Biaggi, 7/10 of a second away. I tell you what, the podium might not be out of the question here for Kevin Schwantz. And that would be a phenomenal result, considering he was kicking up dust and dirt in the gravel just about 3 laps to go. This gap to Biaggi is somewhat steady. But honestly, a 4th place finish. I know it'd be off the podium again for Schwantz, but that is a great result. Alex Crivier is nowhere to be seen right now, and this is the time to strike. Ultimately, if we could come out and win this Grand Prix, we could be looking at the championship being settled today, and it very could well be, as Alex Crivier is now demoted to 11th place. So clearly something's gone wrong for him in this one, and maybe that contact with Kevin Schwantz earlier on going over the rise into turn 1, or maybe just the absolute carnage from the beginning when he skittled Kenny Roberts Jr. out of this Grand Prix. Well, actually, Kenny Roberts Jr. is still going. So again, a shout out to him for being able to continue and battle in this Grand Prix after being knocked over and, well, spitting the dust and the gravel out of his mouth when he was shoved into there, because he had a pretty tough low side, which obviously ultimately took out Kevin Schwantz as well on board the Suzuki. As we're using the medium front and medium rear in this one, there's going to be a couple of riders in this one at the beginning. You did see we're using hard option tyres. That could come into fruition towards the end of this Grand Prix, but for time being, it's medium front, medium rear for us, or at least that's what I remember. As we get closer and closer to the ends of Biaggi, 5/10 of a second separate Schwantz and Biaggi now. Suzuki versus Yamaha, we've seen that a couple of times. Jeremy McWilliams, he's up into 3rd place. So great stuff from McWilliams. Obviously, from starting in pole position, the podium would be a somewhat a disappointment, because he was extremely quick in the qualifying and practice sessions. He was really quick. So I would expected him, or at least I did expect him, to go to the front and lead this Grand Prix and dominate. And it's not having quite the same success as we get closer to Biaggi. But ultimately, McWilliams is getting closer to Arbe as well, so it's not over for him. But the guy in 1st place right now, I do believe that's John Kaczynski, is having a wonderful race as we beautifully just dive up on the inside of Max Biaggi. As Biaggi fights back now going into turn 11, we'll wait for the cutback and we'll fire it up inside of him. Beautifully done, as John Kaczynski is leading this Grand Prix by a country mile. Arbe, McWilliams, Schwantz, Biaggi. Those are your top 5 for the time being as we break into the Andretti hairpin for turn 2. Remember, we do have 2/10 of a second penalty, so if things remain as they are right now, Biaggi would ultimately inherit 4th place. Of course, we still need to move over as Jeremy McWilliams is looking menacing. He really wants to get past Arbe. A 2nd place finish after starting in pole. That's fine and dandy. Personally for me, if you get on the front row, if you finish on the podium and you start on the front row or pole position, that's a pretty damn decent job, of course. So flick it left for turn 5. So things have calmed down a little bit, but there's still quite a lot of this Grand Prix left to go. We're just hovering around 50%, a little bit more than. So flick it left now for turn 6. McWilliams has got Arbe at his side. Biaggi looks to have lost the toe to Schwantz. That'll be crucial by getting away. As we break into the corkscrew now for turn 7. A little bit wide. We've completely messed our lines up there. That surprisingly didn't give us any penalty. I was well expecting a penalty there, but I guess we slowed down enough to not warrant it, as Biaggi is right on the rear tyre of Schwantz now. Schwantz struggling to get that bike stopped. A lot of sliding, a lot of movement from that rear tyre. As McWilliams, can he go round on the outside? I tell you what, that's a brave move from McWilliams. Oh, I'm very, very well impressed with that one. That's terrific. That is a great move from the British rider. Absolutely gorgeous stuff on board that Aprilia. Arbe on the Yamaha, could he be succumbing to my 4th place in a moment's time as we get closer and closer to the rear of him? Of course, Arbe was involved with that skirmish at the beginning where Schwantz tried to dive up on the inside of a couple of riders, and he did ultimately give Arbe a bit of a whack. As we get into the slipstream, can we go around the outside of him? We do, beautiful stuff. Schwantz now up into 3rd place. A podium is on the cards for the man who started 5th, and for the man who got absolutely smashed into at the start of this Grand Prix going into turn 3. So turn 5 now. Closing in on McWilliams, but McWilliams seems to be carrying a lot of speed. He seems to be right in his element right now in this very warm Californian track. As we try and get into the slipstream, it's what we need. As going over the rise now for turn 7 in a moment's time. Turn 7's here. Get ready to flick it left for turn 8, the corkscrew. Beautifully done. Getting into the slipstream. Good stuff so far. plenty of fuel left, so we can potentially up the power a little bit, but for the time being, we'll leave it as things are. And hopefully we can close in on McWilliams without the aid of the additional power. Now I think it's time to attack, potentially. Oh, not quite, not quite, not quite. Oh my goodness, that was close. It's definitely a hearts in mouths moment there. I sort of hesitate because I thought we were going to take him out, but thankfully we did not. Getting closer and closer to McWilliams now. It's definitely a fight. This is definitely a battle for second place, and this would be absolutely crucial for the World Championship. If Kevin Schwantz can hold on and take second place, that would be fan-dabby-dozy for the American and the Suzuki team. As Alex Crivier is just not having the same success he has been doing. Start of the season was all his. He's been brilliant all season long, but looks like he's faltering a little bit here in Laguna Seca. Difficult track to manage, a difficult track to sort of stay out of trouble. And of course he didn't find the... Oh, beautifully done from Schwantz. He's running a little bit wide. McWilliams will fight back. Surely he does. Great stuff from McWilliams. Really confident riding from him on board that Aprilia. Not letting Schwantz bully him around. Not letting Schwantz get ahead. Not letting Schwantz take advantage. Just riding and just concentrating on the Grand Prix. But he's ultimately going to be beaten here at turn 7 potentially. Oh, a little bit of contact made there. Two riders collide. Oh, McWilliams gives his back as he's got. Goodness me. I think the right thing would be doing there is just to let McWilliams back through, because Schwantz was really aggressive there. Well, thankfully, both men are still on board those motorcycles, Suzuki and Aprilia, of course. Breaking into the final corner here in Laguna Seca, as Kenny Roberts Jr. is doing extremely well, considering he got absolutely knocked in the first corner, or at least first couple of corners. He's battling with Wayne Gardner, as Wayne Gardner now loses another spot to Valentino Rossi. He's dropped to 10th place, and he's ultimately then dropped to 11th place. My goodness. Alex Crivier is only in 10th place, so if he finishes in 10th, I still think we've got another round left to do on this championship. He finished in 9th, we stay where we are. I think it's roughly around a 17-point lead, 15-point. Not entirely sure, but it's going to be pretty comfortable for us going into Valencia for the final round. I must say, I'm sad to say it's going to be the final round, because this series has been absolutely awesome. I have enjoyed every moment of it, and I hope you guys have too. So if you have, and you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to do so, as we do battle with Jeremy McWilliams. He's a 10.5 away. As things stand at the minute, if we cross the line together at the same spot, McWilliams would take second, because of course we do have the 0.2 of a second penalty. And I think that's either Arbe or Biaggi there. We seem to have lost one of the riders in this battle for the foursome for the win, for the second place rather. But we do have only 3 people battling for second place, so there'll be one loser out of this one. As Crivier now moves up into 9th place, Rossi having a tough time as well, as Rossi fights back actually for 9th place. Good to see both men fighting, and that's what we need. Keep Alex Crivier down to the... Oh, sliding into turn 11. That was beautiful. Give me 10 plus style points, but also not good for the tyres, so maybe not. Is it Schwantz, Biaggi, McWilliams? So Biaggi has actually got ahead of McWilliams now. Arbe we've completely lost on that graphic. Can't see him in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen as we enter Andretti hairpin. A little bit wide there for a wider line. Looks like that might be Arbe there. He's just quite a bit away now. He's probably a good 10 seconds behind Biaggi. So he's not going to be in the battle for the podium, I should imagine. Oh, a little bit wide onto the grass there. Well, burnt grass. It's actually sand and gravel. As Biaggi's got ahead of us now, we need to fight back now, otherwise it's going to be too late. Biaggi looks... I think he might have the hard tyres, because Biaggi looks extremely comfortable on board that Yamaha. A lot more comfortable than McWilliams did, and a lot more comfortable than Kevin Schwantz does right now. As we flick it left for turn 6, get into the slipstream. We might be able to attack him into the corkscrew. Get into the slipstream, Schwantz. We need that slipstream. We need that extra oomph to get through. Breaking into turn 7, flick it left for turn 8. Not quite close enough. Flick it right again. He's doing well. I think Biaggi's done us. It looks like Biaggi's got the speed here, ladies and gentlemen. As Arbe now loses another spot to Gary McCoy. That's not ideal for the Japanese rider. As McCoy fights Arbe for 4th and 5th place. Excuse me, just 5th place, because it seems to be McCoy and Arbe just battling. As Jeremy McWilliams has lost the toe to Schwantz. We've lost the toe to Max Biaggi. We're on the final lap here, guys. Max Biaggi on the penultimate lap sets a 1:21.820. That is a terrific lap. About 1.4 seconds quicker than Schwantz, and about 1.4 seconds quicker than Jeremy McWilliams as well. As Alex Crivier moves himself back up into 9th place. He's just clutching on to points at this point. As we run it a little bit wide for turn 3. We're struggling with the tyres. We're not trying to get that... Trying to get the same lines, but just not getting that grip. struggling a little bit as we 5/10 of a second ahead of McWilliams. We have to remain over 2/10 of a second, otherwise we will be losing our podium position. And I do think we really deserve a podium in this one, especially after the very, very difficult start. And that would be a great way to really put the pressure on Alex Crivier to just... He's going to have to win in Valencia in his home track. There's no two ways about that, as Biaggi is now a blur in the distance. Can't even see him. Brilliant stuff from him. As we all run it a little bit wide, going over the corkscrew. Still 2/10 of a second though. Thankfully we didn't get an extra bit there, as McWilliams is 1.1 seconds behind. Things have started to calm down a little bit, as John Kaczynski will probably win in a moment's time. He must be around about crossing the line in a moment's time. Yes, you can see him on the graphic in the left-hand corner of the screen. John Kaczynski wins. Biaggi is bound to take second, and Kevin Schwantz increases his championship lead. A huge, huge podium for Kevin Schwantz. Brilliant stuff from the American. So here is the final results. Kaczynski wins, Biaggi in second, and Kevin Schwantz in third place. Alex Crivier only managing to take a few points in ninth place. That is going to sting, as he's going to have to basically win in Valencia in just a couple of days' time. Schwantz leads the championship by 17 points, 17 massive points, as Alex Crivier is going to have to do everything he can to win in Valencia, but Schwantz basically only has one goal, and that's just not crash and take as many points as possible in Valencia. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you checking out the content. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, like, comment and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload. And upon that note, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now, with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.